This interview is brought to you by Comcast Government Services. Find out how Comcast Government Services is providing solutions to the federal government that enable mission-critical network transformation designed to scale with evolving needs. Visit comcastbusiness.com/fedgov to learn more.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ross John Fortuné. I'm coming at you here from AFCEA TechNet Cyber 2024. I'm the managing editor of GovCIO Media and Research. Joining me is Colonel Michael Reeder, the Director of Operations of Joint Force Headquarters, DODIN. Welcome, and thank you for being with me.
Thanks for having me.
So I want to ask about lessons learned. What have you learned at DODIN about securing the perimeter when it comes to broadly cybersecurity, but specifically the DODIN mission?
Right, absolutely. So, it's been a busy 12 months. And I think the first thing that, important to realize is there's no silver bullet. All right. There's no one technology. There's no one thing that you can do to secure the DODIN. And so for many years, we talked defense in depth, and it kind of lost popularity over the last couple of years as we talked zero trust. But I think it's still very important to understand that, defenses at the boundary on a zero trust architecture, endpoint protection are all still very important in defending the boundary and defending the DODIN. Some of the other things that we've learned here over the last 12 months is adaptive intelligence has been key, where we've partnered with vendors such as Lumen to block threats based off of threat indicators before it even hits the DODIN. And so using that type of technology makes our job a lot easier, so we don't have to focus. And then I think probably the last thing is really cyber hygiene. And so, whether it's the endpoint or whether it's your devices at the boundary, just doing the basic patching, updating of software, ensuring the end of life and the support equipment is replaced is really key. Many of the compromises that we've seen have been based on vulnerabilities that there were patches available, and had folks gone in and patched those perimeter devices, their routers or switches. Those compromises wouldn't occur. And so cyber hygiene, I can't articulate enough, is vital.
Well, I want to dig into that a little bit. When it comes to cyber hygiene, culturally, how easy is it? You've got so many users. How do you get that message to them? How do you communicate the import of cyber hygiene? How do you make that work with all these people?
Right. So, I think, one, it's a culture change, understanding. Two, it's battle space awareness, understanding your network. And so, the cyberspace domain is no different than the land domain or the air domain. A commander has to have situational awareness of their area of responsibility. And so if you own a network, you have to understand your battle space. You need to understand what your key cyber terrain is. And so just like any other battle space, there's probably parts of that battle space that are more important than others. And so understanding your key cyber terrain on your network, and then focusing your resources, which are going to be limited. To be honest, we all have limited resources. So focusing on that key cyber terrain to ensure that, you've got a cybersecurity service provider monitoring, ensuring that you've got logging being accomplished, ensuring that the patching is occurring for that key cyber terrain is really where I would focus.
General Hawk and other people generally have talked a lot about resiliency. I know he talked about it this morning. How do you build a resilient network with all these users and all these points of access?
Yeah, absolutely. So resiliency is hard, right? It's hard because it comes at a cost. Unfortunately, cyber resiliency is not something that's necessarily tangible when you're trying to articulate that to someone who's trying to buy another widget. And so there's multiple ways to do that. And again, it goes back to understanding your network and understanding your battle space and what is important so that you can focus on those key assets is one. Two, I would ensure that you have a plan. And so by that, I mean, there was a time where we didn't think that you may not think that your network is being targeted, but at this point, everyone's network is being targeted. And so you can't assume away that, you're safe. And so, I go to work every day assuming that the DODIN has been compromised somewhere. And I think that, everyone should have that mindset when you go in. There's a good chance that someone is targeting my network. And so having a plan that should your network be compromised, what do I do at that point? The military has a, communications, what we call PACE, primary, alternate, contingency, emergency communications plan. I think every organization for your network needs to have that as well. Again, it's also understanding your cyber terrain and focusing on the key cyber terrain that you need to have access to on a bad day. Not everything is important as the rest, and so ensuring that your end of life, end of support equipment on the key cyber terrain is placed and updated, ensuring the patching is occurring, will go a long ways to ensuring that your network is resilient in the long run.
When you have a breach, when you have an attack, when you have some kind of threat, how do you communicate? How transparent do you communicate these things? How do you make sure that it doesn't happen to lots more people?
Absolutely. So General Hawk brought it up this morning, partnerships. And I can't articulate how important partnerships have been. And it probably is one of the most important things that I've seen over the last 12 months is the way that government, our allies, industry, academia have come together to mitigate cyber vulnerabilities and threats. And so, there was a stigma for a long time that if you were an organization and you were compromised, you didn't really want to come out. Organizations such as the NSA Cybersecurity Collaboration Center has kind of made it okay to say, hey, listen, we've seen this on our network. It's not right. This is what we're seeing. There have been multiple compromises that have been thwarted in the last 12 months because someone, whether it was an ally and partner or someone in industry, raised their hand and said, listen, we see something weird on our network and this is what we're seeing and this is what we've done to get after it and then share that with the broader community. And we've been able to go in and harden the perimeter and provide guidance to the rest of the force to harden their networks to ensure that they weren't compromised. And so in the end, it's going to be a collective defense when it comes to cybersecurity.
No one can go at it alone, of course. So, as far as partnerships are concerned, how are you lessons learned within other government agencies, industry partners, international partners? How has that strengthened DODIN, and how do you go about doing that kind of partnership?
Right. So, unfortunately, DODIN's a small organization, and what we're trying to do is partner our way out of having a small organization, and so really reaching out. The intelligence community has been fantastic where they've been tipping and cueing us, which has given us the ability to kind of understand what the adversary is doing, what they're targeting, that we're able to then share with the broader DODIN community, which has been huge. I mentioned the NSA Cybersecurity Collaboration Center, and I believe that came up this morning as well, where organizations can come in and share that information and also receive cybersecurity support from the National Security Agency. And then I probably would be remiss if I didn't bring up, the DoD CIO. And so as you're looking at strategies to secure the DODIN, there's a policy piece, there's an operational piece. And, over the last 18 months, seeing the DoD CIO and the service CIOs working with Cyber Command so that as we roll out new policies, they're nested together and they are mutually beneficial. Whereas in the past, you may have a policy coming out from CIO that maybe operationally was difficult to enact. Now they're nested. So when we talk zero trust implementation, endpoint protection, cloud strategies, censoring strategies, logging strategies, these are all things that the CIO, the Cyber Command, Joint Force Secretaries, DODIN, and the intelligence community are working together to roll out together so that they have the department driving in the same direction.
Yeah, I would imagine everyone pulling on the same rope is pretty important, especially when it comes to operations.
It's a lot easier.
So I want to end on this just because we talked about it a little bit earlier. Endpoint protection, securing the perimeter, and zero trust. How do you integrate those?
So I think as you move to zero trust architecture and you're defending the data, MDE providing the data from the endpoint to a common repository that can be searched by the entire community, and then at the same time we're working to standardize the perimeter. And so there's multiple internet access points, and so one of the things we're working is standardizing the security baselines for those internet access points. So that's the first time we standardize the data that's coming out of the endpoints, standardize the data that's coming out of the internet access points, and then having that going to a common repository so that everyone has the ability to search and queue it. And then the last piece is really automation. You can't do that. One person can't do that. And so having the technology to be able to go and do a lot of that work for us is the direction we're moving now.
Yeah, it's a fast-paced world, and I don't envy those of you who have to adjust to it. But thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
This interview is also brought to you by Fortinet Federal. How can your agency improve network visibility, control, and cyber defense? With advanced technology and expert support from Fortinet Federal. Advance your mission with modern, trusted networks that connect data centers, clouds, and remote users. For more, see FortinetFederal.com.